Hello and welcome to Frank's School. This should be a bit of a relief. I'm speaking English, American English. Doesn't help some of my German friends because of the American accent. But in any case, I'm speaking English. This is the 5th year, the 171st day, first video of Frank's School. Welcome to Frank's School. And I'm going to try to share with you a very odd experience that I'm having and I've laid upon myself. I feel, I found that I have put myself into a voluntary linguistic refugee status. I feel like a refugee. I did it by choice. I chose to do it, it's linguistic. It has to do with languages. What I've done, and I explain a little bit about this right there in that video. I had earlier, that was 2 days ago within this year, I felt like I really needed to explain what was going on. Then in this video, I was back to sort of the, not hard to call it the real world, but the physical world around here where I was showing an experiment I'm making with a bandsaw windmill sawmill. Anyway, here I explain a little bit about it, and what I say is that I jumped into a 7th beginning and I went into Portuguese. I started to teach or talk or film myself speaking Portuguese to the best that I could, and that is not easy for me. So this was the 7th beginning, the first day in the first video. There's only been one video each day that I've done it. And I'm now up to I think the 11th or 12th videos. So I'm going on with it. And I've even created it as a playlist. Escola de Frank is the name of the playlist. So I've got it all together. There's where I'm speaking Portuguese. And that first one is called Portugal tem uma lição para o mundo. Portugal has a lesson for the world. Now, of course, you can see it. It's online. You can see it if you want. That got a lot of attention. I have it's been out there a month. I don't know if it's been a month. And I've almost had 1,000 views with quite a bit of time and comments. And people have been kind. The uniquely, of course, Portuguese speakers that see this, and some of them have said things like, I understand everything you say, and I think, really? And others have said, I admire your effort. They've been very kind, and I do think that for the most part, Portuguese speakers can understand me. I think so. When I look at these videos myself, I understand myself, so I think, well, if I understand what I'm saying, hearing it, maybe they can too. In any case, that's where I began. But I'd already explained about that. The reason I'm devoting one of these last days of the 5th year to this is because the experience has been so strange for me. I have felt so utterly alone in what I've done. I really feel like a refugee without family, just sort of thrown up onto the shore. A stranger in a strange land. I have become a foreigner in a foreign land, or something like that. I think it was Moses that applied to. So I'm a kind of a curiosity landing on the beach there, and in a sense, I think all these Portuguese speakers they're looking at it because they think, "Well, what's this? What a strange creature to be there." Now it's slowed way down. So like the last video I put on there, I think I only have 3 views so far, and at least one of them's mine. So the interest at the moment is not there, but they're there. But in any case, this strange experience of being so isolated. People don't tend to do that voluntarily, and I would not have done that if I didn't think my cause was worth it. If you want to see, well, what am I talking about? The playlist Resurrection the Movie is all in English. There's 28 videos, And there in English, I described what I think is the need for, and I roughed out a movie which I thought was important enough to make that effort, even though I don't know how to make movies. A movie to change the whole paradigm. And I actually had one, I call him my apprentice, Matthew. He watched them all. I said, all 28? He says, yeah, I've watched them all. So you could do that. The thing is, I'm doing it now in Portuguese because that kind of came to a dead end. I didn't seem to spark any particular interest in that effort, and since I really think that the movie would best be done in Portugal, I thought, well, why don't I try it in Portuguese since I can? So anyway, that's going on. So anyway, I feel so utterly alone. I thought, who else has done this? And I think in reality, people are thrust into these kind of situations more often than you would imagine. I think of the little tiny kid, first grader, kindergarten kid, going to school into that strange world. He's a stranger. Linguistic challenge, or you take a kid that's he's an immigrant and he doesn't speak English and he goes into an English class. So and so it's probably happened to all of us at some point or other, but people don't usually do it voluntarily. Voluntary. Christian. I thought of the character of Christian in Pilgrim's Progress. When he goes on to try to seek salvation, he has to leave his family behind. He can't convince them to go with him. He has no friends. One guy, Pliable, stays with him for a while, but when the going gets rough, Pliable leaves too. So he ends up being utterly alone as he journeys on. And I myself, as I'm doing this, I still have no audience promised me, or no particular audience. I don't know if anybody will watch it or not. Now, as I say, quite a few people have. There's no reception committee like there would be for that little kindergarten kid going into kindergarten. At least there's a reception committee to say, oh, it'll be all right. One guy named Luis Cavasso, whom I never met, I may meet sometime, a Portuguese man. I had said to him, and I write Portuguese so badly, I speak it a lot better than I write it, and I wrote to him, I said, I'm thinking about making a video to explain my interest in the lands that you photograph, and he said, go for it, do it. So he was the only one, and I did alert him to the fact that I had done that, and he shared it, I think, which is one of the reasons I suppose I did get some audience. Well, I thought of Moses in Midian after he had killed the guy beating the slave. He was there was that stranger in a strange land, and he has a speech problem too. So I thought of him. And Gulliver, in Gulliver's Travels, in the fourth of the lands that he goes to the lands of the Houyhnhnms. They're intelligent horses. In that land, the horses are the intelligent one. It's the Yehus those are the humans, and they're sort of crude. The civilized ones are the Houyhnhnms. And I thought of Gulliver. You know, there he is among civilized people, and he's basically a Yehu. And I also was reminded of something that happened to me in the Peace Corps. Didn't care much for this. When I was first in Brazil, I was there with my wife, newly married. We'd been married less than a month. And at one point, as part of our training, we were thrust into, just put in a market in Recife, Brazil, in the municipal market, and just sort of set loose. But we had to go separate ways. And the agreement was in an hour or 2 hours, they'd pick us up on the far side of the market, and we had to work our way through the market. Well, you know, my training in Peace Corps was not the standard training. They had this. It was part of an experiment where they kind of just thrust you in there, and you know, I ended up talking. I had a little bit of Portuguese, and my wife had a little bit of Portuguese, but I was mostly worried about her. Is she okay? And I did meet some people. I think they took me into their tent, gave me some coffee or something like that. It was okay, but. Well, in any case, I'm probably not being very clear, and I'm going on too long. But I do want to say that one of the big problems for me is, here's my English. German, I'm pretty good with writing, and reading I'm pretty good with. Portuguese, there was a time where I could speak Portuguese fluently, with no problem at all, easily, fluently, completely. I was even told I didn't have much of an accent or any accent. But now, when I go into Portuguese, I keep doing this back and forth into the German, and I have to keep sending myself back into Portuguese when the German comes to mind. I think eventually it'll separate out and I'll have my Portuguese once again. But I'm going through this whole thing because of this whole strange feeling of having voluntarily become a stranger in a strange land.